Welcome to Bartending 101. Today we're going to talk about glassware. So I just went to the thrift store and got a bunch of glassware, super cheap. I highly recommend going there to get the glassware for you to practice. And as we go through this, you'll see some of the glassware that you might want to get. Anyway, we'll just get started. We'll dive right in. And we'll go from smallest to largest. I'm sure most people are familiar with most of these glasses, but it needs to be gone through. So first one is boom, shot glass. So this is your standard shot glass. If you can see, there's a line right there. That doesn't mean anything. It kind of does, it kind of doesn't. If your place, this might be an ounce, it might be an ounce and a quarter. I haven't measured it yet, I got them today. So if where you work serves more or less than what this line is, that's where you pour to. You still measure out with your count, proper pour, you still measure out a shot. Now, if this is what you serve, then you can just eyeball it and go to this line. But make sure you know where you're supposed to pour. Just because this is shot glass doesn't mean you pour to the top or pour to this line. Make sure you're pouring accurately or for what you're supposed to be serving. So some places will have kind of double shot glasses. That's not very common anymore. Glassware takes up space. It costs money. So this is not, you got your shot, and then your next lineup would be, this is called a rocks glass. I bought 3 different kinds. If you can see, these are all examples. They're all about the same size. They're called rocks glasses. Some people call them tumblers. This one's a little bigger, or at least a heavier glass bottom. But if I were to serve a double shot, and this is a glassware head, this is what I would use. Sometimes you'll have some that are half this size. And again, it's for, say, a double shot, or if somebody orders a drink neat, which means just, if they say whiskey neat or scotch neat, it's just room temperature, no mix, no rocks, just in a glass. So sometimes you have that in-between glass, which I couldn't find at the thrift store, in between a shot glass and a rocks glass. So I worked at a tequila bar for 3 years, and this was about the size that we served all our margaritas in. So you start with lime juice, sugar, salt, sugar, and then put some ice in there and make your margarita. Actually, we made those in a pint glass. So I would fill this with ice, make a margarita, shake, shake, shake. This would be salted or rimmed, and then pour in there, and then out you go. But that's what we served our margaritas in. So that's that. Let's go to snifters, the next largest one. These are more at restaurants. You might see these at clubs, but not usually. These are for like liqueurs and cognacs. Do your own homework on that stuff. That's a totally different video. But the way you would pour this is, I would always just say the bar's here. I would lay this, you just lay it on its side, and you pour alcohol up to the level, up to the rim, and then up like this. There's more that goes into that, but if you're not familiar with these, when served correctly, these bring out the flavor profile of the liquor being served. So this is called a snifter. All right, and there's a bunch of different sizes of these too. They get ginormous. On the ginormous ones, you don't fill up to the line. That's fine dining. Don't worry about that. So, and then next we have highballs. This will probably be mostly what you're dealing with. Here's 2 round ones. And they just look like water glasses that you would see at a dining table. This one actually has a liquor brand on it, so I know like this would be a highball for this. Again, this one, here's a square one. This would be like at home, a square water glass, but I've seen highballs square. I worked at a place where they were hourglass shaped. So they're kind of hourglass. Anyway, this is kind of your highball. Most of your cocktails are gonna go in these. Standard cocktail, highball. So like your Jack and Cokes, vodka tonics, whiskey sours, all that stuff, highball. And then next up is pint glass. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Now I know it's called a pint glass, but that doesn't mean a pint can fit in there. There's not all different. There's a few different shapes of these or variations. This one happens to be kind of thin walled and thin bottomed. There are other ones that are thicker bottomed, thicker walled. They hold slightly less volume than this one. Those hold, I think, if I remember right, 2 ounces less. Some places will buy the more robust ones because they don't break as easily. Also, they hold 2 ounces less of beer. So 2 times however many beers you sell in a year is how many ounces of beer you didn't give away. So, and then there are bigger ones that are, say, a proper pint. You'll see, say, like a Guinness glass. If you see a proper Guinness glass, it's in a proper pint. So it's called a pint glass. Sometimes they call them pounders, but I think this is about 14 ounces, not 16. And those bigger ones, those thicker ones, are even like 12 ounces. So it's something to keep in mind. It's not a big deal. That stuff isn't up to you. That's not your department. Your department is to fill these and sell them, not worry about which glasses you have. Once you get some experience behind you, if management's like, what do you think of these new pint glasses? You can say, oh, I like them, I don't like them. Or, hey, what about these? Because they're ordering glassware all the time. But to just to get rid of a whole style of glass and then have to start over, it costs money. So corporate, if you work corporate, don't worry about that at all. But if you work at sole proprietorship, you know the owner, that might come into play, but for the most part, don't worry about that. And then that's what you serve beer in. Except for this one. And I couldn't pass this up. Maybe you get to fill these. Now, I don't know what these are, but Oktoberfest is coming up, and this was cheap, so I grabbed it. I haven't had one in a while. I used to have a bunch of these, and I got rid of them. But I thought, why not? It's here. It's cheap. So anyway, that's your glassware. Thanks for watching.